Hi, guys, and welcome back to Soul and Spirit, this sacred interweb space where we explore the seen and unseen worlds around us. I am so grateful you are here with me on this journey. I'm your host, Reverend Lexi Hovis, and today we're going to explore something that takes up a pretty big chunk of my life. Spirit. What is spirit? What is the spirit world? Kind of all the things. What is that subtle life force that moves through us, animates us, guides us, and connects us all to something greater? The spirit world is everywhere, kind of in everything. The word spirit itself, though, appears everywhere. Spirituality, spiritual energy, the Holy Spirit, spirit guides, spirit animals, the spirit of the season, the spirit of the moment. Even in cheers I did as a cheerleader in high school had the word spirit in them. You know, we had spirit, yes we do, we have spirit, how about you? And all kinds of things like that. But what are we actually talking about when we say those things, when we say something has spirit? Usually when we say spirit, we are talking about life force, energy of some kind, movement. Some call it the breath. Sometimes even people call it something divine or even transcendent, a sense of aliveness somehow, even unlimited potential. In Hebrew, the word for spirit is ruach. I believe I said that right. And it literally means wind. The Greek word pneuma is the word for spirit, but it also means breath. So this kind of gentle, flowing, unseen movement around us, but also something that gives us life. That in and of itself would be spirit. In these tradition, it is the breath of the divine that gives us life and animates our bodies. In the yogic philosophy, spirit is expressed as prana, that vital life force energy that flows through the energetic channels of the body, connecting everything about us and making us alive. In some Chinese traditions, spirit translates as qi. It's the life force that moves through everything. Indigenous cultures often describe it as the land, the ancestors, the water, the wind, the animals. Spirit is in all things, and it is shared, and it is connected, and it is sacred. It is that sacred power that is present in everything around us. They oftentimes call the divine the Great Spirit, which shows that there's a harmony there. The Great Spirit and our spirit, that we are all spirit and we are all interconnected to the Great Spirit and with the spirit of the natural world around us. We are all pieces of each other and we are all one. Now, myself as a spiritualist, I have another connection to it. I am a certified medium and healer through the Indiana Association of Spiritualists. And as a spiritualist, I believe that communication with the spirit world, with the so-called dead, is possible. I talk to spirits daily. I feel them around me everywhere I go. I feel connected to that separate realm all the time. You may be wondering how spirit is different from the soul, and I'll tell you, some cultures use the word interchangeably. I look at them as two separate things, but very much commingling and often overlapping each other. To me, the soul is our innermost essence as a being. It's kind of our core spark of creation, where spirit is the movement, the energy that flows through our being. And the soul would make you you, but the spirit is what makes you alive. I hope that makes sense. The soul is our inner truth, and the spirit is the expression of that inner truth. When someone says, she has a bright spirit, they are describing her aliveness, not her deep core. Or when someone says, I feel that in my soul, they are describing something foundational to their core, something that they feel in all parts of their being. Both are connected and kind of interwoven together. They are just expressed a little bit differently, I think. Anyway, I also look at it in the way that I haven't really heard anyone else explain it. And this is something that I'm kind of adding to all the time, the more that I study. I look at our different lifetimes almost as different spirits, but not completely different altogether. So to me, my spirit is what makes my personality and my experience as Lexi in this lifetime different than whoever I was in all my other past lifetimes. I see it almost as like the close of my soul. My spirit is out there having the experiences and the interactions that are kind of saved in my soul, like a little bitty download. But if I were to look into the hard drive of my soul, each of my lifetimes, my spirit would be slightly different. Like I said, I have never heard of anyone explain it like this before, but it's what makes sense to me. It's what, when I try to break it all down and explain it to myself, that's kind of what made sense to me. And as a medium, as a spiritualist medium, someone who talks to the dead, talks to their spirit, I feel like I could probably potentially talk to the same soul, just as different incarnations of themselves or different souls entirely, like I would do in like a past life regression. Or, you know, when I talk to, or I get messages in like our spiritualist church, or I sit down and talk to my guides, and I really want to hear from someone that has passed on in my life, but maybe I hear from them and then I haven't heard from them a while. And it almost feels like that connection is lost, but it's still there. It's almost kind of like it's really far away, but I still get messages from them sometimes. Sometimes I think about, like, because I am a person who believes in reincarnation, well, what if they decided to reincarnate? So their soul is out there in another body now entirely on this earth plane, somewhere far away from me. But yet I can still almost connect in with them. I can still connect in with them who they were to me, but they're also out there being someone totally different. That's what I mean when I say I think I could almost look at the different spirits of the person altogether, or like the different lifetimes could be different spirits. You could look at it differently. You could look at it like it's not a different spirit. It's the spirit that's out there having the interactions and the experiences. But maybe if you think of it like a phone line, maybe that line is open all the time, no matter where they are in space and time. I don't know. It's really complicated, but I am a person who wants to figure out things and kind of get to the bottom of it. I want to form my own opinion on it and have an opinion instead of just saying, I have no idea how that works. It just does. I have to form an opinion on it, and this is kind of what makes the most sense to me. But like I said, the more I learn and the more information I kind of gather, the more that kind of adapts and changes. And that's growth, and that's awesome to me, because I get a little bit more of the puzzle every time. And we're not going to get the full puzzle all of the time. We're not going to know everything about this whole life and death process. I don't think it was meant to. I think we were meant to be living physical lives and having these experiences to better progress as a soul being. But I'm also a person that wants to know everything, right? And so I have to kind of understand and learn these things as I go. So one of those things is like doing past life regressions. When I have experienced a past life regression or have done them for other people, I notice right away that the personality of the individual in each of those lifetimes is vastly different. There may be similarities, but they're usually vastly different people. That can depend on, the upbringing in that lifetime, the people they're around, the circumstances, but also I think the core of a being a lot of times doesn't change altogether. But because of that, I started to look at them as different layers of the same spirit. Maybe that's an easier way to say it. They're like different layers of the same spirit. And the spirit with the soul is layered together to make us us. To make me. Like the layers of my spirit within my soul makes me who I am. Not just Lexi, but all of the kind of lifetimes and layers put together make me who I am today and those experiences. So also as a medium, the way we connect and interact with spirit is going to be entirely different for each person. As far as intuitive abilities go, there are 5 that correspond to the 5 senses: clairvoyance, seeing spirit, seeing through mental images, visions, dreams; clairaudience, hearing spirit through messages, words, sounds that are perceived mentally or in the physical; Clairsentience, feeling spirit, which can involve physical sensations or energy from people or places, or even sensing like emotions. Claircognizance, clear knowing, which to me is almost like that gut instinct, almost like a download of what to say, perhaps. Clairgustance, which is clear tasting, which is perceived as a taste of something without the physical source being there. Like you suddenly taste a chocolate chip cookie when you obviously aren't eating a chocolate chip cookie. And then clairalience actually falls in with this one. It's clear smelling, and I get this one a lot, where you sense the smell of something, but you have no physical source. Like cherry pipe tobacco or cigarettes. Me and my husband purchased a house from a lady who was an avid smoker. And the house doesn't smell like smoke, but every once in a while I'll just get a strong whiff of it. Or I'll be outside the house working and I get a huge whiff of cigarette smoke and I'm like, yeah, Susie, what you need? Like, I know that she's there. That's kind of been my clue for her. And then I had someone in my life that was a big pipe smoker, like the smell of like pipe smoke. And so I associate that person with that. Or it could be, food or the smell of a house. Lately, I've been getting a strong whiff of a certain perfume that I recognize from my childhood, and I know that is attributed to somebody that was in my life. And so it can be a variety of different things, and the way mediums work could be all of these things, all of the different clairs. They could work in just kind of one or a couple. The way I get messages and the way I interact with spirit is different from spirit to spirit, and a lot of times it kind of depends on how the spirit works or how they know to work. I get a little bit of each of these. I have heard spirit physically like yell my name or like yell something out, and there's no one around me, like absolutely no one, and I know that that was spirit. Or I hear them in my head a lot, and I've gotten to where I can differentiate between like my different guides. I've seen physical spirit walking like through somewhere, but I've also seen it kind of like close my eyes and I can see the picture playing out. So like all of these things have happened, and it just depends on how a person works, how they do these things. The energy of spirit can be very subtle at times, especially when you're first starting out, or they can come kind of crashing into your life just as hard as a wrecking ball. Something can kind of trigger your work with spirit, and it's just like, boom, they're there. How could you never have realized that they were there all along, type of thing. And when you first start out, you may tell yourself you're imagining this. You'll tell yourself it's probably not really happening and you aren't really experiencing that, and that you're just making all of this up, but you aren't. Like, I want you to know that you are not. And that is something still to this day, 15 years in, that I get surprised about. I'll do a reading for someone, and this happened recently. I'm just giving you what I get, and I feel like I'll feel like I'm doing a really terrible job and I'm just kind of grasping at straws, but I'm telling them like the things I'm hearing and the things I'm seeing, and then I'll be like, does any of that make sense to you? And they'll be like, yeah, absolutely, like you were spot on, here's why. And I'm surprised every single time, because society has kind of told us that this stuff isn't real, that these things don't happen, that you obviously aren't doing that, you're not talking to someone who has died. And that's where like our ego kicks in and it's like, you can't do this, this is not real. And that's where you have to kind of push back all of that and be like, no, this is absolutely possible. I'm doing this. This is real. But the more you really work with it and the more you connect with the spirit world, the easier it gets. And that doubt falls away a little at a time. Now, for me, the doubt only comes when I haven't actively done it for people other than myself, right? Because I talk to spirit, Evan, all of the time. I work with my guides and I'm talking to them all the time. My dogs run away into the yard, they run out the door or whatever, and I want them back. I literally call on my guides to tell them to bring them back for me. When I first had my daughter, and I still do this to this day, and I was trying to get her to sleep, I call on spirit, and specifically I call on my grandmother and I say, can you just, hold her? I know she can see you. I know she can hear you. Can you sit beside her and stroke her head and sing to her like you did to me when I was a little girl? Can you watch over her, especially when she was brand new and I was a brand new mom and that crap was scary? I asked her and all of my guides and all of my daughter's guides, I said, can you watch her all night while I'm asleep? Can you keep her sleeping calmly? Can you keep her safe? Can you keep her warm? Can you keep us all protected so I can sleep? And I trusted that spirit had that. I trusted that spirit had my back. And so I never doubt that they're there. The doubt only comes when I try to do it now because I'm so busy and I don't really get to. Now the doubt will come when I'm working for the public in some capacity. If I'm working a service or I'm doing a reading for someone, then the doubt comes because I'm not a big public speaker, which is surprising that I'm wanting to do this, right? But I'm not a big public speaker, and so that's when the doubt kicks in because it feeds on my own fear of things. But that is perfectly normal, and I just remind myself that it's perfectly normal, and I remind myself that I can actually do this, and I remind myself that spirit has my back always. Also, within that kind of realm, as a spiritualist, I believe we all have guides. Different places will teach you different things about them or how many you have, but essentially, you would have a core group that work with you directly and are with you for life. You came into this life with them and you will leave this life with them. And then other spirit guides can come in and out of your life depending on what you're working on or what you're doing or if you need a little help in a certain area. Spirit is here to help us. They are here to help us, especially our guides, especially the ones that have agreed to this journey with us on this lifetime. They are here to help us progress on our own soul's journey and help us find our true purpose in this life. Because as we grow, they are also growing in the spirit world. And so they want the highest and best good for each and every one of us. We just have to remember that and remember that they're there and remember to call on them or talk to them like they were any other person. If no one is around me, I do it a lot in my head, but oftentimes I'll talk out loud, especially if I'm gardening. If I'm gardening, I'm not talking to my plants, I'm talking to my spirit guides and just saying, this is what I want to work on. When I started working on doing mediumship for the public, I said, this is the way I want it to go because I have such a high anxiety of working in a public kind of presentation way. Here's how I want messages to be laid out. I want these things. I want this to happen. I need these things to happen for me to feel secure in this. This is the, symbols. Even to this day, I'll see a new kind of symbol play out and I'll be like, yes, show me this when this is supposed to happen and that I will know what to say. And so I am constantly talking to them. I'm constantly adapting my relationship with them and growing with them. And I have never felt like they haven't had my back. I am never alone, and that is one of the biggest blessings that I can say about being a spiritualist and about being on this spiritual journey with the things I believe. I am never alone. I am absolutely 100% never alone. Even if I am in a place hundreds of miles away from another human being, I am never alone. They are always there. I can always feel them. I can always sense their love and their connection to me and wanting the best for me. And I know they will help me in whatever I need, anytime I need them. They will do their utmost best to help me. And that is spirit. That is working with spirit and having that connection. But we still have to do the work of connecting to them and getting used to them being active in our lives. They are in the spirit world, which is kind of overlaps with our own world in a lot of the stories, or it interconnects with our world. The ancient Egyptians called the spirit world the Duat, a place where the spirit would travel through obstacles and things to reach the place where their heart would be judged against the feather of Ma'at, to see how light their heart was, to see how they lived in the human world. Did they do good deeds? Did they live a life of joy? Or was it just heavy? The Book of the Dead that we hear often about would have helped the soul and their spirit work through that. It would have been read in the mortal world and then put in the coffin to help the spirit navigate through that world. So they could get through the obstacles. Other traditions really break up the spirit realm into different parts. There's like different little sections. Other traditions believe there are multiple places in general, kind of like heaven and hell you would think of. In general, though, spirit and the spirit world are such a fascinating subject to me and are such a huge part of my life. No matter kind of what I get into, spirit is always there and is always something that I'm interested in learning about and understanding and learning from other people's point of views. I think that is fascinating. It's definitely something I'll continue to study about and continue to grow in my understanding of. And again, my truth on this matter does not have to be the same as yours. They could be vastly different, and that is completely okay. We are allowed to each have our own understandings and opinions on the matter, and I hope that this has maybe made you think about spirit and maybe help you think about, learning about your guides, because I believe even if we don't know them, even if we don't acknowledge them, that they are there. They are there in our lives. They want to be a part of our lives in any way that we'll have them. They are such a blessing, and getting to know mine has been such a joy. So thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for listening to me talk. If you have questions on anything, please feel free to leave me a comment somewhere. Please be kind. In all things, please be kind, and please recognize that I am on my own journey and I don't know all the things. I will never know all of the things. I like to say I know a lot about a lot of things, but I will never be a master at any of them because I just want to know too many things. But if you have an understanding of something, please, or a comment on something I should read or look into, please drop me one of those. I would love that. Or if you have a special story about spirit that you have kind of encountered, or how your understanding of spirit came to be in your life, I would love to hear that as well. So until next time, I'll see you soon.